from the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
And welcome back to KPIX 5 this morning. The time is 6:29. I'm Melissa Kane.
And I'm Julie Watson. We'll get started this half hour with a check of your forecast. We are in the midst of a cooling trend beginning today and continuing as we head on into the work week. Here's a live look outside. We have some low clouds and fog stacked up along the coast. We will see sunshine later today. Going to see more of that onshore influence, eventually reaching folks inland by later on this afternoon, but we'll still see one more relatively warm day, likely above average for inland temperatures.
In Solano County, a procession for a fallen CHP motorcycle officer, Kirk Griss. The Marine Corps veteran was killed in a crash on Interstate 80 in Fairfield on Friday. His body was escorted back home to Vacaville yesterday. Officer Griss and a Vallejo man were both killed during a traffic stop when a pickup truck veered over and hit them. We're told that the driver is cooperating with investigators. Officer Griss was 46 years old and a father of 3. We have some breaking news this morning in Walnut Creek. At least one person is dead after a vehicle went off a flyover ramp from eastbound Highway 24 to northbound Interstate 680. That vehicle landed on Boulevard Way, a street far below that ramp. The California Highway Patrol says it was just reported at around 4 this morning. There are unconfirmed reports that more people may have been in the vehicle. Harrowing moments captured by a terrified driver as the pilot of a small plane uses a Bay Area freeway as a makeshift landing strip. Now, the plane was just a few miles away from its destination when it had to make an emergency landing in the westbound lanes of 580 in Castro Valley. Hours later, it was put on the back of a flatbed tow truck and escorted off the freeway by CHP. KPIX 5's Katie Nielsen was there.
He would follow up and he would like, oh my gosh,
oh my gosh,
oh my gosh,
oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
You can hear the shock and panic in Eric and Brandy Gear's voices as they watch this single-engine Cessna land right in front of them on westbound 580, just past the 238 interchange in San Leandro.
You're making an emergency. Oh my gosh.
The Gears say it looked like the pilot waited for a gap in traffic, then dropped the plane down near the 164th Street exit.
He was able to hold that plane up until all the cars got out of the way, and then he landed it, and then he immediately went over to the side.
Brandy called 911, and CHP says they put out the alert to officers around 6:45 p.m.
It's going to be an airplane landed on the freeway, a red, white, and blue plane.
Neither the pilot nor his passenger were hurt, and amazingly, even with heavy Saturday night traffic, the plane missed every car.
It was like, fear and at first, and then adrenaline just kicked in. And
Eric says he started trying to slow down the traffic behind him as the plane made its way onto the shoulder of the freeway.
So I was trying to okay, hey, listen up. Swerving her out a little bit, honking the horn, flashing the lights.
According to sources at CHP, the plane took off from Lake Tahoe and was supposed to land at the Hayward Executive Airport. The pilot reported a problem with the fuel pump less than 5 miles from the airport in Hayward and decided to make the emergency landing.
You hear about it on TV, you see it sometimes, and you're like, oh, that would never happen. There are things that happen that are beyond your control, and planes do fall out of the sky.
Katie Nielsen, KPIX 5.
That was incredible. Well, activists took to the streets last night to mark 1 year since clashes between white supremacists and counter-protesters in Charlottesville, Virginia. The two sides plan demonstrations again today in both Charlottesville and Washington, D.C. Police say they're doing all they can to keep things peaceful.
Nothing would excite us any better than this to be non-eventful and folks to go home and it be a peaceful weekend for all.
It was a year ago when hundreds of white nationalists clashed with counter-protesters in Charlottesville. At one point, a car plowed into the crowd of counter-protesters, killing a woman.
And all evacuation orders have been lifted in Fairfield, where the 2,000-acre Nelson fire is now 95% contained. Now, that fire broke out on Friday behind a housing development along Interstate 80. Now, no one was hurt, but one house did burn.
The two wildfires that make up the Mendocino complex now cover more than 328,000 acres in Mendocino, Lake, and Colusa counties. The river fire is now 92% contained, but containment of the larger ranch fire, that's only at 58%. In Orange County, a little break in the weather is bringing some relief to crews battling the holy fire there. That blaze, which investigators say was started by an arsonist, is now 36% contained. It has burned more than 22,000 acres. Some of the 21,000 evacuees were allowed to return home yesterday.
And in Northern California, hundreds of people paid their final respects to a firefighter who died in the car fire. Yesterday, a procession of fire engines and first responders moved through Redding on the way to a memorial service for Jeremy Stoke. The 37-year-old fire inspector was killed on July 26th, leaving behind a wife and 2 children. That car fire is now 57% contained and has burned more than 190,000 acres in Shasta and Trinity counties.
In Daly City, investigators are trying to figure out what caused a fire at an apartment complex. Firefighters got the call just after 4 yesterday afternoon. People at the scene sent us the video that you just saw there. You can see thick black smoke billowing from the apartment, and this is obviously video after that. The building is on Sullivan Street.
Flames, huge. Got my grandma out, and that was that. Man, it was so many flames, so hot. Just trying to get out the house, man.
Now, no one was injured in this fire.
Berkeley police are using this video to track down protesters who went into damage mode last weekend. They bashed 21 cars and trucks near Ohlone Park, and many were dressed in black with their faces covered. They also smashed windows at the Marine Corps Recruiting Center on Shattuck Square. Police are also looking for another masked man who smashed a couple of ATMs with a hammer on Center Street. And construction work is back underway after a deadly on-the-job accident at San Francisco's Twin Peaks Tunnel. A worker was hit by a steel beam on Friday while working on the West Portal side of the Muni project. His identity has not been released, but we've learned that he was employed by the Oakland-based Shimmick construction company. It's still unclear what caused the accident, but work did resume after Cal OSHA determined that the work site is safe.
Well, a former White House staffer is accusing President Trump of racism. Omarosa Manigault-Newman was one of the president's top advocates on African-American issues. She worked for him until this past January, but now she's out with a book in which she writes that he is a, quote, racist, misogynist, and a bigot. She claims to have heard recordings of offensive comments by Mr. Trump from outtakes on the reality show they were both on, The Apprentice.
I heard this tape.
You heard the President of the United States?
The President of the United States use not only the N-word, other horrible things.
Now, the White House released a statement saying, quote, this book is riddled with lies and false allegations.
Barry Bonds wore number 25, and no other Giants player has touched it since he last wore it in 2007, and now no one will. The Giants officially retired number 25, the 10th number in franchise history. Bonds, a 14-time All-Star, winner of 7 MVPs, and is baseball's all-time home run leader. Despite all the accolades, Barry has yet to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame because of steroid allegations. During the ceremony, his godfather, Willie Mays, made a passionate plea that Bonds be sent to Cooperstown.
And I want him to have that honor be something that happened to him. So on behalf of all the people in San Francisco and all over the country, vote this guy in. He is very, very important to me.
And before the game, Bonds taking the field and returning to his customary spot in left field. And boy, the Giants hope he was in the lineup tonight. Top of the 4th, Josh Bell takes tie block deep for a 3-run homer, and the Pirates win 4-0. Giants fall 2 games below 500. Hall of Fame pitcher Greg Maddux checking out the A's and Angels in Anaheim, and he saw maybe the throw of the year in the 3rd. Oakland rookie Ramon Laureano chases down Justin Upton's fly ball in left center, then launches a 321-foot throw to double off Eric Young Jr. at first to end the inning. And then top of the 4th, Marcus Semien. He connects for his 2nd home run of the game, and the A's win 7-0 to stay 1.5 games ahead of Seattle in the wild card race. And at the PGA Championship, Brooks Koepka shot a 4-under 66 to take a 2-shot lead into tomorrow's final round. Tiger Woods is tied for 6th, 4 off the lead. And the San Jose Earthquakes lose in stoppage time to the Colorado Rapids. 2-1 is the final in that game. Andrea Nakano, KPIX 5 Sports.